I am tired of this bullshit. I ain't even gonna lie. It's about time that I go off on this motherfucker. For those of you who play Final Fantasy and have been probably waiting for something like this to set me off, you're about to get your wish. Those of you who have no fucking clue what I'm talking about, well, you can pause it right here and go get some popcorn because I'm about to tear the roof off this motherfucker. I ain't even gonna tell the YouTube auditor to go fuck himself. I'll save that shit for fucking Square Enix, who started becoming the next Resident Evil series by just rolling out crap for money. Now, over the past few years, from the question and answer sessions to hints dropped in other video games, I've made it pretty well known I'm a Final Fantasy fan. Sure, 99.9% of my shit is Call of Duty or some other forms of online entertainment when I post on YouTube. Sure, I don't do Let's Plays because the fact is, I would be the only one playing while you guys sit here and watch. Which, by the way, why don't assholes just rename this stupid shit I play and you watch? Seriously, think about that for a second. The title of this genre is Let Us Play. Let's play. There ain't no fucking us in that equation. It's one asshole playing a video game, talking to a microphone about his fucking cat Fluffy or his turtle named Sprinkles. There is no concept of us in that motherfucker. Oh, fuck this shit. You know, another rant for another day. Not gonna talk about that shit. Getting back at what I was saying. I have never torn Final Fantasy a new asshole like I should have done over the past 5 fucking years. I've conveniently let them slide because I'm trying to have little fucking faith in Square Enix. And I have little patience in hoping this shit pays off, but I'm at the point that this bullshit just can't be fucking tolerated anymore. I'm gonna start with a little background. I've played the very first Final Fantasy game all the way the fuck back when controllers had 2 fucking buttons and a thumb pad. Shit, man, I barely remember what the fuck that game was about, but what I do remember was the whole Dungeons and Dragons genre crap with earth, wind, fire, and all that fucking crap, a floating fucking castle, and the motherfucker that looks like Orko from He-Man being on your team. It wasn't until Final Fantasy 3, now known as Final Fantasy 6, because the Japanese think Americans are fucking stupid, that I appreciated the series and understood what the fuck was going on. You know, here in the US, the Japanese didn't think we could tolerate their weird Japanese crystal shit, so they didn't release all the Final Fantasy games to us. Final Fantasy 4 was really Final Fantasy 2, Final Fantasy 6 was really number 3, or whatever the fuck. But Final Fantasy 6 was a goddamn masterpiece of its time, and it's probably one of the few commercially successful RPGs outside of Zelda around that time period. So I know a good Final Fantasy game. I know the history of the series, and I know what quality video gaming looks like. So when you try to pass off this Final Fantasy 13 trilogy bullshit, us longtime fans like me are gonna get pissed off. This is not quality video gaming at all. It is fucking garbage. And not only did Square Enix pass off this garbage, but they turned this garbage into 2 fucking sequels. I wanted to give Final Fantasy 13 the benefit of the doubt. When this game was announced years ago, people who saw all those initial trailers of Lightning on a fucking futuristic train and whatnot, running through all these enemies with new battle sequences in a futuristic setting, I knew this game was obviously going to be going in a different direction than all the others that preceded it. I was open-minded, and I hoped that this game would be able to pull off such high expectations and crazy ideas that stray away from normal Final Fantasy games. I mean, after all, they can't keep doing the same shit over and over and over again, right? You know, they're not Copy of Duty or Battle Paste. You know I had to get in my head on those 2 motherfuckers. But anyway, man, Final Fantasy 13 came out, and I can say that without a doubt, it is at the bottom of my list of Final Fantasy games that I have played. And there isn't even a competition for that title. I mean, just look at the number of things that went wrong. First of all, the game was 95% linear throughout the first 13 chapters or so. Square Enix knows the biggest knock on that game, and it felt like it was on rails from the entire beginning of the game all the way to about 90% of the way the game was done. You got into fight after fight after fight without any nugget of exploration. Here is starting point A, here are the barriers you can't cross, now get all the way the fuck over to point B, and there's only one way to get there. This is not a Final Fantasy game, motherfucker. In addition, you had no towns, a key element in all Final Fantasy games. You had no interaction with people other than the ones you needed to speak to for cutscenes or some bullshit like that. You walked until the next fight, and after it was done, you walked some more until the next fight. And the only way all the walking and fighting stopped is when you reached a fucking cutscene, a boss fight, or both. Hands down, it was one of the most linear games I have ever played in any genre, and it made Final Fantasy X look like a fucking open world game. And that game was linear as shit for the first 15 hours or so don't even get me started on that bullshit. After you passed the linearity of the game, you had the annoying voice acting with bad script writing. Now, 10 or 15 years ago, you got a pass for bad translation from Japanese to English. Fine, no problem, we get that. But why does every fucking Final Fantasy game have to have a whiny-ass character straight out of fucking anime? Seriously, why do we need Vanille and her annoying, bubbly personality? Why do we need Hope and his emo, raving tendencies? If that motherfucker wasn't trying to save the world with lightning, he'd be sitting somewhere, cutting his wrist, listening to Linkin Park and Gangnam Style or some shit. Snow is the stubborn, rugged, tough guy, more suited for the Jersey Shore than a video game. Saj was a stereotype and a half with a fucking pigeon shitting in his afro, and that leaves Lightning and Fang as the only decent characters. Except, Lightning has the personality of a peg leg. Stiff, wooden, no emotional connection, and just trudges along figuring she can kill anything that pisses her off. Then again, at least she was less annoying than Vaughn and Titus from previous Final Fantasy games. So she has that going for her. Either way, the characters are beyond fucking flawed in this game. From irritating to useless to outright fucking annoying, there's something wrong with each character, with maybe the exception of Fang. Just look at it like this. If Saj wasn't in the game, would we lose anything? If Hope was killed for being a Justin Bieber lookalike, would anyone give a flying fuck? Did we really need Fang and Vanille for the ending to occur? No, of course not. Fang would have sufficed enough and Vanille would have been made fucking irrelevant. The storyline didn't fucking help either. What confused the fuck out of people was the foul C, LC, CS bullshit. Oh, the fuck. I needed a goddamn dictionary to know what the fuck they were talking about half the time. What the fuck? It's so hard about calling them gods and mortals or some shit like that. Why can't you make this shit understandable so people aren't sitting at home trying to turn on subtitles to understand what the fuck is going on? The storyline itself isn't a bad concept, but the presentation, the linguistics, the Fantasia-like bullshit that surrounded it made it way too fucking overcomplicated, man. Now after all of that, after fucking up on unlucky number 13, you decided to push your luck. Why roll out one shitty game when you can roll out a sequel to another shitty game? And in that sequel, you add another annoyingly happy character, Lightning's little fucking sister. Then you add another annoying character out of fucking nowhere with Noel or Noel, whatever the fuck that motherfucker's name is. Oh, but wait. You couldn't stop at adding annoying characters or fucking no. Why stop there pissing me off? Now, we go the route of fucking time travel. Fuck me, how wonderful is that? And in this time-traveling clusterfuck of stupidity, you completely erase the ending of Final Fantasy XIII, make a brand new ending that makes no goddamn sense, and then start this game on a brain-fuckingly implausible plotline. Oh man, you outdid yourself on that one. You followed up on a bad story by erasing the end of a bad story and creating time travel with two annoying ass kids. Motherfucker, how about taking that time traveling bullshit and going back to a time when you knew how to make video games, How about going back in time to Final Fantasy VI or Final Fantasy VII on how to make a damn good game? I mean, just look at the connection these two games have and how irrational that shit is. Final Fantasy XIII is the fight of humans against corrupt creators or gods or deities or whatever the fuck you want to call these motherfuckers. There's a lot more to it than that, much more confusing shit, but that's the gist. Final Fantasy XIII 2 is time travel bullshit. And it's explained by saying that the ending of Final Fantasy XIII caused a ripple in time. Or to be more specific, the god Etro, who you didn't even hear so much as a mosquito fart from in Final Fantasy XIII, is the one causing all this shit. What the fuck kind of logic is that? I mean, shit, with that rationale, you could go in any direction. Just imagine this. Well, the ending of Final Fantasy XIII means that aliens can now attack the planet since the gods kept them away. Or, the ending of Final Fantasy XIII now caused a gigantic sea monster to terrorize the planet a la Sin from fucking Final Fantasy X. Or, the ending of Final Fantasy XIII means that a new and intelligent life form lived on the other side of the planet in secrecy and are now coming out of hiding and Lightning needs to protect the people. The logic Square Enix used to go from Final Fantasy XIII to Final Fantasy XIII 2 is fucking absurd because you could take that logic and apply it to any fucking weird scenario you want. Instead, they go time travel. They explain that the god Etro watched the events of the first game, was the being who saved them at the end of the first game and decided to fuck up a timeline on the sequel where Lightning was kidnapped. And now her sister needed to save her and was given some annoying fucking teenage douchebag from the future or maybe from a Kingdom Hearts game. Doesn't that motherfucker look like he's the kid from the Kingdom Hearts? Anyway, man. Square Enix had to release an entire book, not a game, but a book to detail how this shit was supposed to make sense. Listen, anytime you need an entire story or a book to detail how flimsy your fucking plot is, you know you fucked up. There's just no way around this crap. You don't need extra media to explain how badly you fucked up. Think of any storyline in the history of sequels, just look at the movies. Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, The Matrix, all introduce characters in the second story of a trilogy, just like Etro was. However, None of them introduced a character that basically says, I'm changing the ending of the first movie. I'm taking credit for all the shit that happened in the first movie, and now I'm gonna be the person that fucks up things in the second movie. You know, Star Wars is the closest where they had the Emperor Palpatine up in this motherfucker, but Final Fantasy 13-2's logic is that Echo was the person behind all the shit in Part 1. The fuck? How about you tell us that at the end of Part 1, motherfucker, instead of creating a character out of thin air like you did in the sequel. Now, I could go into every annoying detail of Final Fantasy 13 and why that game was shitty, but it's pretty fucking obvious how shitty it was. Two annoying-ass characters, bouncing around time more than Scott Bakula in Quantum Leap, fighting alongside fucking animals, trying to save the world at all these random points in history, past, present, and future. At the end, what did they accomplish? Nothing! Not a goddamn thing was accomplished, other than the fact that they need a third game to finish this bullshit. That game had, what, 9 fucking endings or so? All based on something we learned from Marty McFucking-Fly and Back to the Future. Do not fuck with history or the past. You create paradoxes, and all those endings were additional paradoxes based on shit you tried to fix. Yeah, fucking great. Do you really think I want to fix everything you fucked up with time travel? I don't fucking think so. And since this storyline concept is all fucked up, they didn't even name this ridiculousness Final Fantasy 13-3. They're just calling this shit Lightning Returns. It's not even getting a number, man. It's just getting Lightning Returns, because you could have named this anything you wanted, like Booger Tits or Steaming Pile of Horseshit or Burned Orangutan Ass Hairs, and it would have made just as much sense as Lightning Returns. This game follows in a line of bullshit like all the other games before it. And while I won't reveal any plot points for people who are still playing this motherfucker, I haven't gotten through the entire game myself, but I will say this. It starts off on all kinds of bad notes. You know, Hope was restored to his knowing 14-year-old self. For what reason? Who the fuck knows? Final Fantasy's shitty explanation isn't even worth so much as the roll of toilet paper to wipe your ass with. Noel's still fucking annoying. Snow is all emo. Saj is once again in the game for no fucking reason, and the real irony of this game is the plot again. In the first game, Lightning believed Sarah was dead, but did everything to try and save her. In the second game, Lightning was supposed to be dead, but Sarah was doing everything to save her. Now in this game, Sarah starts out dead from the events of the second game, and Lightning is once again doing everything to fucking save her. Fuck this! Just let people fucking die and stay dead, motherfucker. It's bad enough this story starts out with Lightning waking up 500 years into the fucking future, and people are still around at the same fucking age without being dead. So clearly, this game has no concept of aging or time or any of that bullshit. Of course they try and explain, oh, well, time stood still. Fuck you, man. Don't give me this fucking bullshit. Then you add in this chick Lumina, who's supposed to be this, oh, motherfucker, man. You can't even explain this shit to people who don't play this game. If I tried to sit here and explain every little fucking thing, people look at me like I have a third fucking head or some shit like that, man. This time around, Lightning got all religious and shit, and now she's listening to another god named Bunavelza. Although in prior games, it was Lissy, Falsy, whatever the fuck it is, then it was a goddess. Now, they just outright refer to the motherfucker as God. I mean, seriously, the first game, there were many gods, and Orphan was the creator of all that bullshit. Then we get Echo in part 2, and she was a goddess. Now, it's God himself, no plural or anything. This is supposed to be the one and only motherfucker this time around. So this whole plot revolves around Lightning listening to another god, because that worked out so fucking well in prior games, right? One game, the gods are trying to kill her. The next game, they're kidnapping her and telling her to defend the world. And now in this one, he says he's going to end the world, and she has to be there to be a part of it. I mean, at this point, just go fucking atheist, man. Fuck that shit. I just tell him to go fuck off and die somewhere, because I ain't no fucking errand boy, and I'm damn sure not trusting some almighty being, considering all the prior ones were trying to get me killed and shit. You know, you must be out your motherfucking mind if you think I'm just gonna go along with your godly ideas while every other god was trying to fuck me over. You know, in the first game, they wanted Lightning to save, destroy the world, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Now in the third game, she's supposed to save and destroy the world. You know, motherfucker, if I did something once already, and I did a good job at doing it, I don't want to have to do it again for no damn reason. This shit makes no fucking sense, and it gives you no damn reason. I miss the days of storytelling that made some damn sense. You know, granted, that was never Final Fantasy's strong point, but for most of their plots, at some point, it made some damn sense. Final Fantasy XII was actually a straightforward story that made sense. Final Fantasy X was a straightforward plot. The story was a bit convoluted, but the plot made sense. Sin is bad, defeat sin, save the world, hooray me! Final Fantasy IX made sense about 75% of the way through until you got to Garland entering the storyline and made a shitstorm of a plot. Oh, man. Then, of course, you had Necron fight at the end, which was a total what the fuck moment. I mean, that shit came out of fucking nowhere. Hey, let's fight this undead motherfucker for no reason other than the fact that he magically pops up after a 30-hour storyline to say he wants to destroy everything. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit, man. Final Fantasy VIII was an almost straight-up storyline until about 98% of the way through, when the game revealed that, yep, it's more fucking time travel that fucked this game up. Ooh, a sorceress from the future has been changing the whole game. Yeah, fucking brilliant. Fuck that shit, man. The plotline of Final Fantasy XIII even made Final Fantasy VII look normal. Yeah, as much as I love Final Fantasy VII, that plotline had more holes than a homeless man's underwear. When you made Final Fantasy look like a coherent plot, you know you fucked up somewhere. There are only a few redeeming points about this game that Square Enix can actually brag about. You know, the battle system is a nice improvement. You know, with only one person fighting, this allows the opportunity to be a bit more flexible. And I must say, they certainly did that in the game. They made it more action-oriented, so I do have to praise them for better battle systems. Also, not visiting the same places as in the prior Final Fantasy games, that's also a welcome relief. I damn sure don't want to have to time travel again or visit the same fucking spots that I beat in the prior two games, so these new locations are a nice change. My only issue with these locations is the explanation as to why you have them. You know, it's 500 years in the future, the end of the world, new world. Yeah, totally makes sense when you slap yourself in the head with a baseball bat a few times. You know, it's nice to have a new setting, but it's a shitty explanation as to why that actually occurs up in this motherfucker. You know, the good news is that this series is finally fucking over. No more Final Fantasy XIII bullshit ever again, because this story should be buried and killed off before it ever sees the light of day again. While I can't say Final Fantasy 15 will cure all the issues and cleanse all the butthurt from Final Fantasy 13, I can at least say that something different will be coming from this bullshit. It's gonna be a welcome change. I'll tell you right the fuck now. I have my concerns about a game that's been in development for 8 fucking years now, possibly 10 years by the time they actually release that shit. But you have to monumentally fuck up a game to be as bad as Final Fantasy 13. It would take a conscious effort to make a game worse than this trilogy. So I can only hold out hope that they will finally get their shit together and release a decent fucking game, man. So anyways, I know this was the long-awaited Final Fantasy rant, but motherfucker, they had it coming. So as always, rate, comment, subscribe, and all that good shit. And I'll see you guys in the next video.